Okay, so I wanted to do a lesson 2 video on slope point form just to help out with some of those questions. So the first question here, number 1, says write an equation in slope point form where slope point form is given there, y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1 of each line passing through the given point. So if we just sort of identify the equation here, and let's just review quickly what the parts of the equation are. So if we've got our x1, y1, our x1, y1, that's the point, that's the given point. And then of course this m is the slope. So if we look at this first equation, every equation needs a x and a y variable, so that's why only one of the x variables, the x1, and one of the y variables, the y1, will be replaced with the point. So of course, because this is made up from an altered basically slope formula, what we're doing here is we're putting our x and our y in, and they are subtract. So what happens to the signs is we get a y minus 3, right, even though that was a positive 3, equals to the slope. Ooh, let's figure out the slope here. So if we look at the slope, we can figure out the slope starting from the left point, right? A line is read from left to right. So we find a left point and we travel. In this case, we rise up and then we run. We always rise first and then we run to the right. So we rose up 2 and run what? 1. Up 2 over 1. So our slope is 2 over 1, or 2, and our x1 is 3. It's as simple as that. We put our points in, we put our slope in. We figure out the slope of b, starting from a left point. Okay, I could start from this point or this point. They kind of give us a point, don't they? And we're going down 1 and right 2, right? We rise up or down, and then we run right. Down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2. So there's our slope is negative 1/2. Here's our x and our y. So our equation is y minus 1 is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 2. And the last one here, question C, slope is 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that one there we can't reduce. And so our equation is y minus 3 is 2/7 x minus 5. All right. So for question 2, I would recommend that you try and do a couple on your own. But if you're stuck on question 1, here again, they're giving you the point, x1, y1, easier than the slope, the equation, the graph rather, easier than the graph. The whole point and slope are given right to us. So we're just going to plug in y minus y1, which is 4. Our slope is negative 5, x minus a negative 3, right? There's a subtract a negative 3. So that's 2 negatives there together, make a positive. And as we discussed in class, if we look at the slope point form, the actual coordinates of the point on the line come from this 3, 4, the 3, negative 4, but they're the opposite. The coordinates would be a negative 3, positive 4. Okay, now this particular question asks us to determine the equation in slope point form and then express it in slope y-intercept form. We don't have a ton of room here, but let's shrink that down. Now if we want to express it in slope y-intercept form, that's our y equals mx plus b. So we're going to distribute this slope in to get rid of the brackets, and we get y minus 4 is negative 5x minus 15. add 4 to both sides. And of course, we can only add 4 to the constant. And we end up here with y equals negative 5x minus 11. Okay. Question B looks a little bit scarier. Of course, there's same thing, a point, x1, y1, and our slope. So y minus 1 is 2 times x minus a half. There's our slope point form. And now if I want to change this into y equals mx plus b, I'm going to multiply those through. And I know that I'm just multiplying numerators and denominators. And we get y minus 1 is 2x minus 2 over 2, right? 2x over 1 minus 2 over 2. 2 times 1 is 2, and 1 times 2 is 2. And of course, that 2 over 2 can be simplified to a simple 1. Y minus 1 is 2x minus 1. And we add 1 to both sides, and y equals to 2x. There's our slope y-intercept form, which just indicates, if I think about y equals mx plus b, that our b value is 0, meaning that that graph would go through the y-intercept would be the origin. Okay, I'll leave C and D for you. Question number 3. Find the slope and one point on the line, then sketch the graph. Well, here, of course, our slope is 1/2, and the point would be negative 5 and positive 3. This came from x minus negative 5, and this is this y minus positive 3. So our negative 5 is our x-coordinate, and our positive 3 is our y-coordinate. So I'm going to start from negative 5, 3, counting over 5 to the left and up 3. And our slope is 1/2. Up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. And there's our line. Okay, I'll leave B to you. Question C, that would be a little bit of a tricky one. The slope is, of course, 2, and the x-coordinate would be negative 1, y being negative 2/3. So if I were to try graphing C, that would be a little bit tricky. I'd have to estimate, wouldn't I? Negative 1, negative 2/3 would be about there. Okay, left 1 and down 2/3. And then, of course, up 2 and over 1, slope of 2 or 2 over 1 would be about there. So I'm just kind of guesstimating. Can't do that one quite so perfectly. Okay, and that wouldn't probably be one you'd ever have to write on a quiz, but you can try B. B would be easy-ish, and D. So question 4, things get a little bit, there's a couple of challenging concepts here. It says, we just really need to read this one super carefully. It says, write the equation of a line using slope point form, then convert to slope y-intercept form. So slope y-intercept, there's our y equals mx plus b, and slope point y minus y1 is mx minus x1. And this one says, write the equation of a line with a slope of 0 passing through negative 5, negative 6. And so they give us the slope. Here's our x1, y1, and here's our slope. Y minus negative 6 is 0 times x minus negative 5. These two negatives make a positive. And we get y plus 6 is equal to, well, 0. 0 times anything is 0. So there's our equation in slope point form. But then if we want to change it to y-intercept, slope y-intercept, we're going to subtract the 6 from both sides. And we end up here with y equals to negative 6. And if we compare that to our mx plus b, our b value is negative 6, and our slope is 0. So 0 times anything is 0. That's why there's no x term. It's just a y equals negative 6. If we think of what that would look like, right? If we think of that, what that would look like, we're going left 5 and down 6. Point there. and a slope of 0. And there's that -6 intercept right there. -5, -6. And there's the equation, y equals -6. That also happens to be the range. Okay, question 4b. Let's read carefully. We have to sort of detective this out. Question 4b says, find the equation of the line with the same slope as y equals 2x minus 5 and passes through the given point 4, 1. So our slope here, we can see that our slope is 2. And here's our point x1, y1. So y minus 1 is 2, x minus 4. Right, we know that y equals mx plus b, there's the slope there of 2. And now we want this to be changed to slope y-intercept form. Okay, and so y minus 1 is 2x minus 8. Adding 1 to both sides, y is equal to 2x minus 7. Here's our first part and our second part of that solution. And then question C says use this slope. So we have the slope. Oops, the slope is -1/2. And we want to use the point that says, the same x-intercept as this line. Same x-intercept as this line. So I don't have the point directly, but we can find an x-intercept. To find an x-intercept, we let y equal to 0. So 3x minus 2 times 0 equals to 12. The 2 times 0 just cancels, and we get 3x equals to 12. Dividing both sides by 3, x is 4. So there's the point 4, 0. There's the point that we're indirectly given. So our equation is going to be, let me just move this guy out of the way here. Our equation is going to be, y minus 0 is -1/2 x minus 4. There's our slope point form. And of course, slope y-intercept, we're going to distribute the slope in. We get y is -1/2 x plus 4 over 2, which will become 2. Negative times negative is going to be positive. That's going to be 4 over 2, which equals 2. Okay, so that's quite a bit of practice, I would say, for those first ones. We could maybe do one more question down here. Why don't we do maybe B, and I'll leave you to do a couple more there. CD, ACD. If I was to do this one in slope, this is already in slope point form. Okay, if we were asked to find the point, we know the point would be -2, -1. Now, to change this into slope y-intercept form, we're going to distribute that 3/4 into the x plus 2. We get y plus 1 is 3x over 4 plus 6 over 4. Multiplying numerators and denominators, and we get y plus 1 is 3x over 4 plus 3 over 2 if we want to reduce that. And now I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I'll just sort of sneak that in below here. Subtract 1 and subtract 1. And when we simplify, we get y equals 3/4 x. 3 over 2 is 1.5, and 1.5 minus 1 is 0.5, or 1/2. And of course, you can use your calculator for that as well. Okay, question 6. We need to use those 2 points to find the slope, and then we can use either point to put that into slope point form, then do some converting. And then the last question here, number 7, what is the equation of each line in slope point form? Same x-intercept as this line, and passes through this point. So we really don't have the slope, and we only have one direct point. But we can figure out this point. This point, the x-intercept, we let y equal to 0. We get 0 is 3x minus 4 So x will be 4/3. So that's the point 4/3 and 0. So now we have 2 points. If I want to find the slope, we're going to go y2 minus y1. And I like to put those on the top. And x2 minus x1. So there's our 0 minus 5 over 4/3 minus 0. So we end up with negative 5 over 4/3. And we can always use our calculator to simplify that, or that's a negative 5 times 3 over 4. We multiply by the reciprocal, negative 15 over 4. And now we want the equation in slope point form. We can use either point, and we use y minus 5 is 0 times x minus negative 15/4, which is going to be y minus 5 is 0, so y is equal to 5. I think you probably have enough info to do B. You've got your 2 points, negative 5 and 0, 0 and 4. You're going to find the slope using those 2 points and use one of them to write the equation. And the last one here, same slope as this line. We can't see the slope there because we need to change it to mx plus b. So we're going to change that to y equals mx plus b and use the point 0, 0. So hopefully this helps a little bit with the homework. I know that some of these are challenging. And if you have further questions after watching the video, please do not hesitate to come for extra help. Thank you.